Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we're going to be looking at a very popular multi-tool, and that is the Leatherman Juice S2. Now, there's several reasons why the Juice S2 is such a popular multi-tool. First of all, I believe, is its overall size and footprint. This is going to be a pocketable model, so it's not going to be the size of a full-size model, nor is it going to have the capability of a full-size or standard duty multi-tool, such as a Leatherman Wave or a Leatherman Charge or Leatherman Free, or any number of other multi-tools on the market today. But it has a decent amount of capability for its size, and that makes it very popular. The second is going to be its weight. Now, obviously, because it's a smaller frame multi-tool, it's going to weigh considerably less. In most cases, it weighs about half the weight of what you're going to find in a full-size multi-tool. So for those that are concerned about carrying extra weight, that is also one of the things that makes the Juice S2 very popular. I think the biggest factor, though, is the fact that the Juice S2 carries a full-size set of scissors. And that is probably the number one factor when people are looking at a Juice S2 compared to some of these other multi-tools out there. Now, they're not the best scissors. They are pretty capable, though. They're actually pretty good. Do I think they're on par with Victorinox? I don't. Victorinox makes some exceedingly good scissors in their knife platforms. So while they're not on par with the Victorinox, they are very, very capable. Now, it appears, sadly, that the Juice S2 is going to be retiring soon. And the reason I say that is because Leatherman has it discounted on their website right now, down from its original retail price of $69 down to just under $53. So it appears that the Juice S2 line will be retiring and joining some of the other Juice models that have already been retired. So if this is a multi-tool that you're interested in, you may want to jump on it fairly quickly. Well, let's hop into the specs of this multi-tool, and then we'll go through the tool set, show you what the capabilities of the Juice are, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts on what I think of the Leatherman Juice S2. Let's get started. The weight on the Juice S2 is going to run in at 4.55 ounces, so it's going to be about half the weight of what you're going to find in a Leatherman Wave Plus. It's actually a full 4 ounces lighter. That's going to translate to 129 grams. Overall length for the Juice S2 in its closed position is going to be 3¼ inches, or about 83 millimeters, which make it very comparable in length to a lot of Victorinox style knives that you're going to get. A little shorter than the 91 millimeters, but it's a good size comparison. The overall width is going to be 1¼ wide, or about 32 millimeters. And the overall thickness is going to be 5/8 of an inch, or roughly 16 millimeters. So it is a very, very pocket-friendly multi-tool for its overall size and weight. I've brought the Leatherman Wave Plus in here so that we could kind of get a side-by-side comparison on the overall size of a Juice S2. And you can see that the Juice S2 will actually very comfortably sit inside the frame of a Leatherman Wave Plus. And that is going to be one of the big factors for why someone would consider the Juice series of tools, because of their overall size. They really are a very pocket-friendly multi-tool. Now, when we're going through the outside tools, one thing to note with a Juice series multi-tool, and the Juice S2 as well, is that none of the tools lock out. So they do have a pretty positive retention. You really have to put a little bit of pressure on them for them to double over. So while they don't have full locking tools, they do have a very positive retention. Now, the knife blade on the Juice S2 is going to be a 420 HC blade, and overall length on this blade is going to be 1 15/16 of an inch, or just shy of 2 inches. A very good utility blade. Not the greatest blade, but a very decent blade. Now, on the opposite side, they have their combination tool. Now, Leatherman uses or incorporates this particular can opener, bottle cap lifter design in their other Juice models, and the reason that they have this in there, and and they don't change it, is because obviously they're made for the Juice series tools, and they're engineered for that. But for those models that have the corkscrew, This top lip here also works as a leverage tool. So when you have the corkscrew in the wine cork, you can set that on the rim of the wine bottle, and it aids you as a leverage tool to remove the cork, and that's why they have this particular design. Now, it's not a great can opener. It does work sufficiently, and it's fairly sharp. So a decent can opener and a decent bottle cap lifter. It's not going to be on par with some other multi-tools, but it is functional. And to get the scissors out, you'll notice that this particular tool has a lip on it. So if you have this in the closed position, your scissors cannot be removed. You have to open this up first to get to your scissors. Now the scissors on a Leatherman Juice S2 are pretty good, actually, and it's one of the biggest factors for why someone would want to carry this particular model of Juice series as opposed to a couple of the others, and that is the scissors. Now they do a decent job on stuff like cordage and string and paper, cardboard, all light duty tasks that you're going to ask of it. It's going to perform fairly well. And I'm going to bring in some other multi-tools here in a little bit to kind of compare and contrast how the scissors on a Juice S2 work by comparable models, or by multi-tools that this is really what I feel go up against. So the scissors are pretty decent. Now, as before, to get it closed, you have to open up your can opener first and then close it down. Then if we get to the inside tools, it has 3 different flat driver options, and they don't have a lot of length on them, but they are pretty good screwdrivers. So one of the downsides to the Juice series of tools is that they're not going to have super long implements. So the first one is a 1/16 flat driver, then you have a 1/8 flat driver, and then you have a 1/4 inch flat driver. And they all work fairly well as screwdrivers, but on most Leatherman multi-tools, the larger screwdriver can double as a pry tool. In this particular model, it is not built nearly as robust as some of those other models, and so I would not encourage using that as a pry tool because it's pretty thin there. On the opposite side, we have our Phillips driver. Now the Phillips driver on here is actually really nice. The only downside is it doesn't have a substantial amount of length to it, but it is a very good screwdriver and full 3-dimensional. And this is a combination number 1, number 2 screwdriver. Now, down below here, and it may be difficult to see, and I actually have to use a different tool to pull it out of there because it's in there pretty well. They actually have a lanyard loop that's in there as well. So if you want to attach your Juice S2 via lanyard, you have that option. Now, the pliers is the last tool. So we have our needle nose, we have our regular pliers, and then we have wire cutters. And they're hard wire cutters, but you really can't get anything very big in there. I guess if you wanted to cut like a coat hanger, a wire coat hanger, it would probably get through that fairly easily. It's not going to be as easy for sure as other multi-tools because it just doesn't have the same length and the same leverage, but it will get through there, and it's in a pinch, it's a very capable tool. I'm going to bring in a couple of other models of multi-tools, and really, to be honest with you, I think that the Juice series of multi-tools really closely compare to those multi-tool knives from Victorinox. So the Swiss Army knives are going to be its main competitor, both in it, for its functionality and for its capabilities. I really think that is the main competitor, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the knife blade and the scissors and the pliers as well. Now, one of the biggest selling points on the Juice S2 is going to be the fact that it has scissors in it, and next to it I have the Victorinox Deluxe Tinker, which I personally feel really closely compares to the Juice S2. The Deluxe Tinker is going to have some extra capability that the Juice S2 is not going to have, but the Juice S2 is going to have some extra functionality or tools that perform a little bit better than that of the Victorinox. Now, the scissors, I don't believe, are one of those, though. The scissors on a Juice S2 work really great on light-duty tasks, thread, paper, cardboard, cloth. But when it comes to cutting stuff like cordage, you can really tell the difference. Now, it does a pretty decent job and gives you a pretty decent cut. But when you're comparing that to something like the Victorinox scissors are just incredibly sharp. And I can kind of detail this. I can get out here with the Victorinox scissors way out on the end without putting any binding pressure on it, and it will just snip it right off. And that makes for really excellent scissors. Where if we tried that with the Juice series, it's probably going to roll on us if we don't have any pressure on. Well, it didn't that time. There we did. So while they work pretty good, they're not quite on par with the level of sharpness and level of ability of a Victorinox scissor. Now, keeping with the Victorinox Deluxe Tinkerer as our baseline here to compare against the Juice S2, you'll notice that the Deluxe Tinker has a much larger main blade than that of the Juice S2. However, the Juice S2 has a 428C blade and the Victorinox has a much softer steel, so you're going to get a lot more edge retention out of the Juice S2 blade. Another thing to keep in mind is that the original Juice S2 had about a 1/4 inch or about a 5/16 inch longer blade, so it would have been the same blade length, or maybe even, it would have been exactly, or right at exactly the same blade length that you would get on a Deluxe Tinker. But when the second generation came out, they made that blade a little bit shorter, and that was more so for the knife laws in other countries, as opposed to, they could have gotten a larger blade in there. And that's actually one of my criticisms of the Juice S2. I wish they would have a longer blade, but I understand why they didn't do it. So as far as blade capability goes, the blade on a Deluxe Tinker is going to be larger and then the Juice S2, but overall I think I'd rather have the 428C blade as opposed to the softer steel on a Victorinox, myself personally. Now, one area that the Juice S2 is definitely going to shine over that of a Victorinox knife is in the pliers themselves. So the needle nose, the regular pliers, the wire cutting capabilities, the Victorinox is not even in the same league with the Juice S2. And the Juice S2 actually has some pretty decent capability. Here I have a little piece of 14 gauge, and you'll notice it actually cuts right through there without much effort at all. And it has a pretty clean cut on it as well. The Juice S2 will actually cut wire better than that of a Gerber model with the carbide inserts. Here we're going to go up a little higher. This is 12 gauge. And while it struggles just a little bit more to get through that, you can see that it really doesn't have much of a problem getting through there. And you don't get any bind over with the pliers as well, or very, very little. So it does a pretty good job of cutting through wire. Now, the Victorinox does have a little bit of wire cutting capability, but it's right in that little notch there, and it's not even big enough to get 14 gauge into. So it really above and beyond what the Victorinox pliers are going to offer you. And one of the biggest factors why you might want to consider a Juice S2 over a Victorinox style knife is for the fact that it does have it's not necessarily a full-size set of pliers, and we'll just bring the Wave Plus in here to set beside it to kind of illustrate that. You can see that the full-size pliers on a Wave Plus are much more capable and much more robust than that of something like a Juice S2. But you do get a very good set of pliers for its overall size, and it has some pretty decent capability as well. And that's the biggest factor, I believe, when looking at a Juice S2 model over some Victorinox style knives. If you don't need the plier based multi-tool, then I think you would lean towards Victorinox. But if you do require a plier based multi-tool, then I think you lean more towards the Juice series, in my opinion. Now, I really only have two criticisms for the Juice S2. The first of which is going to be the knife blade. I wish that the knife blade was made just a little longer. Apart from that, the only other criticism that I have for the Juice S2 is I really feel like this model, they should have found a way to incorporate a pocket clip on this model. I think this is a fantastic pocket multi-tool, and I definitely grade the Juice S2 as kind of an A- tool. I don't think it's an A or an A+, but it's definitely an A- tool. It's really up there, and I like the functionality and capability. I actually like the Juice CS4 a little better than the Juice S2, but I know a lot of people gravitate towards the Juice S2. I definitely think it is an A- tool though. A pocket clip would have brought it higher for me. It really would have. Now, while this is a very comfortable pocket carry multi-tool, a pocket clip would have just been ideal for this, and it's the one thing that's lacking for me. I could even be okay with the little bit shorter knife blade, but a pocket clip on this I think should have been a must have on this particular multi-tool. Now, I will say that I wear Levi's jeans for the most part, and this, Levi's have a pretty deep change pocket, and the Juice S2 will actually fit very comfortably in the change pocket of my Levi's jeans. So, it's kind of hit or miss. And what I feel this multi-tool is going to be, the people that it's going to most relate to are office personnel, people who don't want to have a pocket clip exposed or don't want to carry a multi-tool in a sheath, but want to have something with some capability. And it's very pocket friendly, very concealable. And I think that is the person that this is going to most closely relate to. I like the Juice S2 a lot. I do. I just don't think that it is. Maybe people are a little bit higher on it than I am. And more so, it comes down to I like the multi-tool with one more layer, because I feel like the one couple of tools that are missing on this is going to be a file and possibly a saw. If they had one more layer where they could incorporate a file on one side and a saw on the other, I think this would be an outstanding multi-tool. At any rate, my review of the Leatherman Juice S2, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if the Juice S2 is your multi-tool of choice, I hope I don't insult you by saying that I think it's a little less than an A+ grade, but it's definitely a very capable multi-tool and one that I highly recommend to the right person. My review of the Leatherman Juice S2. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.